Today we are doing Kirkland red wine tasting. From last video you said that there is a significant difference between $60 and then $10 bottle. I wanted to see if that's true.
So these are all $10 bottles with the exception of one?
One is $60, and then also I wanted to see if any of the Kirkland brand can keep up with that level or even close to it to try to find a good quality Kirkland wine.
More importantly, since you've already told me or told us that they could be from anywhere in the world, what's even more important than can $10 wines compete with 60, they better not be able to, is since they've come from all over the world, each bottle has got an appellation contrôlée or whatever it is on it. Are they identifiable as wines from that place?
Exactly.
For $10. That's a challenge.
And for people who are watching this video who are not familiar with the Kirkland brand, that's Costco's own branded wines. Those products deliver quality at a very good price. Now, when we're talking wine, especially red wine, it gets a little dicier. One thing, when we have unoaked red wines, you can produce some delicious unoaked red wines. When you start oaking them cheaply, you're in the realm of oak chips and oak staves to get to that $10 price point. Now, there are better staves and better chips and lesser staves and chips, and there are people who are really good at doing chips and staves and people who are not. Generally, I can even smell the oak chips or the oak staves early on, and those tannins can be very hard. For the audience as well, a good friend and colleague of ours is one of the people who sources Kirkland wines, but we're going to not let that bias us at all because we don't know if any of his wines are here or not, and we'll just let the wines speak for themselves. Anything else to add before we taste?
I hate it when wines talk. Do not speak for yourself. I'll tell you when you can talk.
Okay, all right, let's start.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Michael Broadbent, well known, worked for Christie's for a very long period of time, was fairly prolific in his writing, and he once said that ordinary wines were for drinking and not for discussion. Though I disagree with him, because ordinary wines, they're an engine that drives the train of the business of wine. Many of them, I agree, are not wines for discussion at all, but finding wines that deliver value and a sense of place, hopefully, certainly a sense of the variety, those wines are worth discussing. You agree, Peter?
Yes, I do. But if we go into the tiers, the sort of old hackneyed phrases.
Are you talking about people crying?
The entry level is table wine, Vin de Table. One step up from there is Vin de Cépage, wine made from a specific variety, and therefore you need to be able to taste the variety. And the third one is Vin de Terroir. So Vin de Terroir is, in our context, not a specific piece of land, but Vin de Terroir means, in a context like this, does it speak of a specific place? Chianti, whatever it might be. I agree with Patrick, but at the bottom of it all, irrespective of whether they show place or variety, because you just already told us that with the exception of one wine, they're all around $10.
Correct.
Would you drink those other wines for $10?
Yes, that is the question.
That is the question. Do you want to answer it? For you?
Some of them I would drink for 10. Certainly, if you were paying, if you were buying.
There's only one wine here that I would dither with. All the rest, I would absolutely drink at $10.
Surprisingly good quality across the board.
I agree. Absolutely.
And the other question, can we discern a more expensive bottle of wine?
Right.
The proverbial $60 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I got it just by looking at the color, swirling, looking at the legs that were pigmented coming down. I said, that is a no-brainer.
There's one wine here that's head and shoulders above the others. I hope you and I got the same one.
And there's a reason for that. That the single characteristic that most determines price of wine, this is across the board. I mean, at a certain point when people are drinking label, other things come into play, right? And scarcity comes into play. But the number one thing, cost of the grapes.
Yeah.
To have more concentrated grapes, usually you have a more specific site, a site that the land costs more, it may cost more to farm, and the yields tend to be lower, which doesn't say that lower yields always, very, very, very low yields always yield better quality. Generally.
Absolutely.
Right?
Amen to that.
And so just looking at these wines, there was one wine that was more deeply colored. It had more concentration of flavor, more complexity, it had more length. But that said, I was surprised as to how many of these wines showed variety and where they were from. Now, that's assuming that was right. but we'll see.
We'll see if you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get the good one out of the way.
Let's get the good wine out of the way. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay. So number 3 is head and shoulders above the others. Not just because of those things that Patrick said about concentration and all that was, of course, absolutely true. I mean, this is a really, really good wine.
Was it easy to find though?
Easy to find.
Is it easy
Yeah.
to find?
And Patrick found it on the color. I didn't, because you can do all sorts of things to mess with color. But I found it on it. You just can't make a wine like that for $10. 35 or 40 years of experience and bullshit. It's that you pay more.
I shouldn't have told you that there was a $60 wine.
And the reality is that if somebody said this is $10, I'd say go out and buy as much of this as you know
That's
Oh, yeah.
exactly right. No. If somebody told you that one was $10, forward the guy to me, because he's in serious need of consulting.
and maybe psychiatric care.
Maybe tooth work.
Yeah, tooth work, and perhaps in need of a bankruptcy attorney soon. So let's talk about that one first, and then we'll do the
Okay,
other ones.
all right.
Number 3, and we both agree, deep purple garnet, opaque color, legs with pigment. The nose was tight, but there was cassis there. There was noticeable alcohol and oak. It was full-bodied. The tannins were full, but they had ripeness and elegance. There was not just quantity of tannin, but the quality of tannin. It was rich, well-balanced, very good length. I thought this was made from Bordeaux varieties, and I thought this was coming from France, from Bordeaux.
100% in agreement.
Let's see it. Let's see where it's from.
Did you get more clue from the color or from your nose?
Initially, I got it just from the color, but again, when you are going to put your marker down, you do the whole thing: color, nose,
So
and
everything
and
combined.
palate.
All right, so number 3, it's hard to read. It's a Chateau
Marescot.
Marescot.
Marescot Saint
I call it in
Super.
Korea Saint-Dec Berry.
2020 Margaux Grand Cru Classé. Great vintage. I love wines from Margaux. It was a delicious wine.
It's my favorite region as well, Margaux.
Let's get down to the essence of this tasting. $10. What do we get?
My number 1 was very dark, deep ruby, not quite opaque, no age showing, obviously long legs because there's reasonable alcohol here. It's quite extracted. On the nose, it was kind of dusty. I thought I detected US oak. Entry was tight, very tannic, but I found it ungenerous. It was high acid, slightly short finish. Not bad wine at all, not charming. Lots of faux oak.
And by faux oak, he means sort of fake oak.
Yeah.
Not oak barrels.
Not oak barrels.
How do
yeah.
you know though?
There's a
Yeah.
character, and I don't always get it right,
Yeah.
but there's a character to the oak, which is there's a greenness, there's a harshness, there's a sort of character there which sort of hints of having rushed it. So the question was, what was it? In the end, I went for New World, probably Bordeaux blends. It's one of my lowest scores. I gave it 81.
I got some pimento on this as well, some greenness that again spoke to Bordeaux varieties, higher yields, gives you some of that greenness. I was also New World, Bordeaux varieties. I was thinking Cabernet Sauvignon more than Merlot, though could be a blend, probably from California. Let's see what it is.
All right, let's see. Number 1 is the Bordeaux.
It's a Bordeaux.
Yeah, Superior 2021.
Okay.
60% Cabernet, 40% Merlot.
Well, it's good that we had that right after we spoke about the real deal. Now, Bordeaux Superior, or Bordeaux Soups, they are not superior to other Bordeaux's. It's just the name of the classification.
All right.
And these wines have improved dramatically with climate change, and they used to be abysmal. And this wine is reasonably drinkable. But again, it was one of my least favorite of the...
Was my least favorite of the lineup. I would drink it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would drink it.
Yeah. Number 2?
Yeah, this is the lightest in color, light red, rim cleared. I didn't see any real sign of age on it. The nose was somewhat muted. I got muted berry with a hint of oak. On the palate, nice upfront berry fruit, and then the oak took over, shortening the finish. There was a spiciness on the finish that reminded me of Zinfandel.
So I played with it on that basis. I moved away from that in the end. I agree with the spiciness. I ended up thinking it was Pinot, but not Burgundy.
And I had thought about Pinot as well, and that spicy note was what tipped me over. But it's hard to find Pinot for $10.
So that's the point. I've messed with things that could be lighter, Tempranillo, which is usually much darker, Tempranillo Garnacha. In the end, I went with Pinot maybe out of New Zealand or something like that.
Let's see.
I don't know.
All right, let's see. Number 2. Indeed, Pinot Noir,
well done.
Caneros, Napa Valley though, 2022.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good value. $10.
And in general, for people learning about wine, it's much easier to find wines expressive of variety at price points substantially above $10.
Oh, absolutely.
When you get to the $10 range, it gets a bit tougher.
Number 4. This is also definitely red, sort of ruby, pale ruby, dark cherry, something like that. No age showing. Legs, but no extract. A little bit of earth I thought I saw on the color, so that would be some age, but no, not really. Tannic entry. Well done, but just hard to do like at this price. Thought it was European wine. To be honest, I thought this was Chianti. I love Chianti Reserva more than any other red wine on the planet. And so to try and, if this was Chianti, to try and squeeze Sangiovese into this price point, extremely difficult. But that's where I am. I think we're drinking Chianti or something based on Sangiovese, and I scored the 186.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you, Peter. The light color, the berry fruit, but the earthiness as well, combined with the bitter cherry. The bitter cherry, very nice acidity. I quickly went to Sangiovese in Italy.
Hopefully that's where we are.
All right, so number 4, indeed, Chianti Classico
Well
Reserva,
done, yeah.
2021.
Reserva, give me a break.
That is not a Reserva.
Yeah, but this is very popular in Korea as well. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you
Yeah.
both liked it.
I'm glad we liked it. You know why? Because if I'm at all known in Korea, it's for my love of Sangiovese. And it would be very good that I picked up the Sangiovese.
Okay, so this is wine number 5. It was medium ruby red, though you could still see through it. I got coconut, dill, and berry. The palate I thought was better than the nose. And I also got some lemon pledge and some earthiness. So the coconut and dill for me is American oak. The lemony notes for a red wine with earthiness is Tempranillo. So I thought this was Tempranillo from Spain.
That lemon pledge, whose note was that?
It's mine.
Is it your note? I'm in Spain.
It's going to be
I'm
Rioja.
either Tempranillo or mostly Tempranillo, and I went to Rioja.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, number 5, Rioja. Too easy for you.
Reserva.
2019.
Yeah.
Rioja.
And with that amount of oak, it'd be Reserva.
It's not too easy for us. Patrick and I are having a great day. Well, I speak for myself. I'm having a great day.
On the side of the yard, we both stepped in shit.
I was debating number 4 and 5 for Chianti. Do they share any similarity between Tempranillo and Chianti?
Earthiness.
Earthiness. Okay.
But this Sangiovese is going to have cherry, the Tempranillo is going to have berry, the Sangiovese is going to have higher acidity, and the tannins are going to be a bit more astringent.
Okay.
And also, you're not going to get American oak on Sangiovese. From Italy, you're going to get it in Spain.
Tempranillo can do much darker colors
Yes.
than Sangiovese. That doesn't mean to say that it is. But Tempranillo is capable of seriously dark color, whereas Sangiovese, for the most part, is not.
Okay.
But if you have Rioja that has a good amount of Grenache, the color can be lighter.
Yeah, 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So number 6, somewhat paler than the others, but not pale. No extract. Lots of legs, but not no extract, but almost no extract. I picked up oak here, and an almost sweet entry, but then the attack was bold. I struggled with this one. In the end, I went with Garnacha. So I don't know if that's Ribera or, because I thought it was from Spain, Ribera del Duero or something with lots of Garnacha. So that's where I went.
And I think those are all good thoughts, but not with great confidence.
So this one doesn't tell the place very well. Okay. Yeah, number 6 is
Oh my God,
Chateauneuf.
Chateauneuf.
So what percentage of Garnacha is
Here.
that?
70% Grenache, 10%
Yeah.
Syrah, 10% Mourvedre,
Mourvedre.
10% Cinsault.
Sanso.
Oh, yeah.
Retasting it, it does taste like Chateauneuf or Gigondas.
This
Yeah.
is $20 bottle.
Yeah, that's a nice bottle of wine. And the last wine,
Last one.
medium purple garnet. The nose was muted to me. On the palate, I had firm oak chip tannins right out of the bat. Fairly nice fruit up front, and then I got this oak chip or oak stave. When you're a kid having a popsicle, if you had a popsicle and had that stick in your mouth for a while, it gave you this bitter tannins. Nothing screamed out at me, but based upon the fairly deep color and some berry fruit, I went to Syrah Washington State versus Australia.
I usually can pick a very, very cheap wine because I drink a lot of cheap wine. This one, I definitely thought it was like a really cheap wine.
I thought this was European wine. To cut a long story short with all the bullshit, based on Tempranillo.
Let's see what it is.
So basically, it's not telling you a place either.
Mhm.
It's an Alexander
Valley
Valley 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
This one was very cheap as well. Oh, $10.
Mhm.
Okay, that's $10. Rioja was $8. So Rioja, I would go with Rioja.
The-
Rioja was $8.
$8, yes. The Rizova.
Here, just the way that they oaked it
Uh-huh.
just got in the way. I would not have I would have a sip or two of that at a party and say, sorry, let me try.
Yeah,
something else."
so it's hard.
So we tasted 7 wines. 6 were Kirkland wines, and these wines, I think, showed for the most part.
I would be more complimentary than that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they were very good value.
And the wines were good enough in terms of representing variety that we got them mostly right.
You and I both basically got them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And some were better than others, but some of them also showed a sense of place as well. So for $10, or in the case of the Chateau Neuf du Pape, $20, that was pretty good. And we also showed that a well-selected, there are $60 bottles of wine that are harsh and difficult to drink, that Margaux beautifully balanced a beautiful wine for $60. So we showed that if you've got some more money in your hand and you know what you're buying, you can do something that's heads and shoulders, leagues above these wines. But that all said, the Kirkland brand wines that we tasted today delivered quality and delivered value and delivered it in spades. I thought that the Rioja was very good. The Chianti was very good. That Chateau Neuf du Pape is bloody good for $20.
Okay.
So the Chateau Neuf du Pape got my highest score.
Okay.
Not by much, but it got my highest score. So what does this tell you? After all of this, pay more. You get better wine. But
Yeah.
Well,
the important thing is, it's actually possible in 2024 to deliver $10 wines
that are very nice.
from very, very well-known appellations that some of them are identifiable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Which is
So
nice.
we're talking about the possibility of getting vin de terroir at stupid prices. I'm very impressed.
Good news for the consumers. Live well, drink well, give us a couple of thumbs up, and until the next time.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
I want
With-
something in my glass.
What
I
do you
need to
mean?
drink.
Yeah.
What do I have to do?
Just cheers with a glass.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the Chianti?
Number
4.
4.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not okay.
Yeah.
I'm the Chianti guy.
I'm drinking Margaux.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.